The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome everyone to episode 144 of the Daily Mother Swole. I am here, and they just called the superintendent in the apartment complex because apparently I've been gaining too much, and this side of the building, the foundation is starting to crack. So there might be some reassessing. I told them not to put me on the higher floors just because they're getting some structural damage, but that might be another reason why I should take a little bit off from training, and I should do more yoga just because I am overbulking, if that's possible. I just created a word because there really is no such thing. So let's talk about the opposite of bulk. Let's talk about stretching. These are 6 stretching secrets, and these are the things that you should be thinking about when you're adding stretching to your program. And when I say stretching, that could also mean yoga. You know that I am a huge proponent of yoga, and I'm getting more involved with that personally. Again, bringing that back in, and I'm backing off weights some more myself because I'm a little bit burnt out of the gym, so to speak, that I just feel like I need to move back towards stretching more so than I already was, and yoga more than I already am. So that's becoming more of a priority, and that's why I am pushing this a little bit more today. It's always important to come back to yoga and come back to stretching now and again, especially for the daily swoles, because it's so important and people don't do enough of it. So stretching can happen before and after training. It can happen during training. It can happen in between your training sessions. It is more important for some, in some respects, to stretch and to warm up before you work out and not so much after. And this is the first and second points. Stretching before warms up the muscles. It allows they love me. It allows for your body to switch into the sympathetic nervous system to allow for more blood flow to start being sent to the muscles. It prepares the body for that increased blood flow, prepares for the fight or flight mechanism. It gets your body prepared for exercise, and the tendons and the ligaments and the muscle tissue stretching, shortening, blah, blah, blah. The stuff you know. Lengthening and shortening, it's just like warming up anything, warming up a car. You don't turn the ignition and then just jam on the freaking gas. Releasing after. When I say releasing, I mean foam rolling. I am a big fan of foam rolling. I'm huge on self-massage. I have been looking into more and thinking about more concepts, and some famous pro bodybuilders like Tom Platz will agree that stretching after a workout, especially after a heavy training workout, a heavy strength training, can be possibly negative or detrimental to the muscles immediately after, because the muscles are so engorged with blood and there's a lot of tension that's built up inside the muscle tissue. If you're having issues with the audio on Facebook, you head over onto Periscope at Swolenormous, okay? I'll cut the feed in a moment. Not sure why there'll be any issues. Give me a second. Hold on. Let me know if that helps. Okay, just had to fix and work on Facebook Live, that debauchery of a live broadcast system. When you are working out, when you're lifting weights, you're building up a lot of tension inside the muscle tissue. So when there's a lot of tension, especially after a heavy strength training workout, and you're trying to stretch, you're trying to lengthen, you're trying to pull the muscle apart and lengthen it right after, that can cause potentially some damage to the muscle. And you might know or have had experience where you're working, you're pumped, and then you're trying to pull on it. It just feels really tight because it is tight. It is very... The tension is extremely built up inside the muscle. The muscle is swollen with blood, nutrients, and there's a lot of pressure. So adding some lengthening and some stretching could be detrimental. If you're going to do that, make sure you foam roll first. I like the self-massage. I like to hop on a roller before I do stretching, especially after workout. But rolling after workout would be great. even if you didn't want to do some lengthening immediately after, I would definitely foam roll right after. The next one is regularity. Make sure that you are being regular. Make sure you're being regular with your stretching. Regularity, that's one part. The next part is going to be daily. It does not have to be intense. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half of stretching. It can be. You can build up to that. It doesn't have to be this massive undertaking to stretch. You can do a couple stretches throughout the day. Of course, the more you stretch at one time, in terms of warming up and getting your blood flow going and getting your body temperature raised, will help in terms of getting deeper into those stretches. But if you could be more mobile, more flexible, and more, I would say, functional throughout the day, drop to the ground, do a couple stretches, that consistency will pay off in the long run rather than just doing once a week. I am much more of a proponent of daily, regular, small scaled stretching rather than doing like 1 hour of stretching once a week. Anything that will improve takes practice, just like playing the piano, the guitar, learning a skill. It's better to do a little bit every day than a lot one day a week. So repetition, exposure to it on a regular basis is going to be important. So do it on the daily. Try to set aside 10 minutes. If you really are pressed for time and psychologically can set aside time for stretching, set yourself 10 minutes, say, okay, 10 minutes, I'm going to stretch for 10 minutes and do 10 minutes. And then usually when you're there, that might expand to 15, 20 minutes. You can even do multiple small sessions where one time you work your hip, you do a few hip stretches in a row, other times do more upper body. And then on days when you have more time, like an hour, for example, you do a yoga class or you do a whole yoga flow, that's also acceptable and that's also encouraged. So any kind of regular daily flexibility routine, something that you can stick to and adhere to, is important. And this is something that has to be done every day. The things that you will lose quickest if you stop doing them is flexibility and cardiovascular capacity. Your strength will stick around a lot longer. In terms of, let's say you stop doing strength training, your strength will remain for a longer period of time. If you work out already, if you take a couple of days off, you're not all of a sudden weak and you can't lift 100 pounds anymore if you could already lift 100 pounds. If you do cardio regularly, you do running regularly, or you do yoga regularly and you take a week off, all of a sudden you're going to come back and be like, feel a little out of breath, or yoga, you'd be like, oh my God, I feel stiff. Your body really relapses on those things very quickly, and that's just the way the body is in terms of adaptation. I've talked to many orthopedists. And these are professionals that work with the human musculoskeletal system all the time for a living. They have said to me, of course, they're coming from a medical background rather than like from, let's say, a physical training background. They will generally agree that, picking random percentages, of course, the human body, flexibility and mobility is about 80% or more of musculoskeletal health. Being able to move the muscles, having the muscles being able to stretch and move and slide freely is mostly what's important, not so much strength and resistance. Strength and resistance is great for functionality. It's great for being able to move things until you're older. It's also useful to be able to build bone density, and there's other uses for strength training that can increase the ability to store minerals and so forth in the bones. What's going on, Bob? But the flexibility, the mobility is what's going to keep you. I see so many elderly people that can barely walk, that are hunched over. They have bad posture. It could be from more, osteoporosis, their bone degeneration, but it's also from not being able to walk freely, having tension in the muscles, imbalances that's pulling them in the wrong direction, and not being able to rotate. I teach yoga to a lot of people that are older than me, and their thoracic rotation, their mobility is very, very poor. And I am so adamantly against becoming that. If you told me right now, and I'm 33, if you told me right now it's such a tough thing to say, and it's hard for me to say it, even because I really probably wouldn't choose this, but what should I choose? If I had to choose yoga, or if I had to choose one thing for the rest of my life, God, I don't even know what I would choose. One thing, yoga or weight training, I think I might choose yoga. I think I might have to choose yoga and just deal with that decision. I don't know. It depends on how you lift your weights. You can keep your mobility in certain ways. It depends. You have to give some more rules for that. But as you get older, And I don't want to say this that you shouldn't be starting this younger because, of course, the sooner you start, the better you'll have your whole life. And I'm not saying don't be flexible when you're younger and pay attention to it more when you're older. But as you age, as you get older, like right now, early 30s, mid 30s, late, the stress should shift less towards maximum repetitions and to overloading the body and doing crazy amounts of, resistance and max reps and heavy weight. It should go more towards, I don't want to say higher repetitions, but higher repetitions to failure instead of doing max repetitions, doing sets of 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15, but all doing it to failure, but doing more moderate and higher rep ranges and also more yoga. This is just from experience, from training a lot of people in the geriatric population that can barely move, from seeing how people walk, from corrective exercise, who gets injured, how they get injured, the lack of mobility, the lack of functioning. Of course, you need strength as you get older, so you should never really stop either. But the shift should become more and more dominantly yoga and flexibility because you're doing body weight strength. You're doing some overload. If you combine strength with yoga and you find that balance, I don't really think you don't have to work out with resistance 6 days a week. If you said, okay, do resistance 6 days a week and yoga 1 day a week, or do resistance 4 days a week and yoga 2 or 3 times a week, the latter is a much better decision because you can really overload. Am I the one with one leg? I have 3 legs, actually, so I have an extra one. So in terms of your program planning, your program design, you need to be consistent. Now, even if you could only do yoga once a week or stretching once a week, you got to keep that once a week and you got to hold on to that 1 day a week with all your might. You like that, triplet? I know. You have to do it consistently. So a yoga class, any decent yoga stretch or any decent yoga instructor will say, even if you do once a week, just keep doing once a week and be consistent. It's going to be a slow progress to get better, but that consistency you will maintain and you will improve. But you should be doing more consistently spread out the entire week. It's better to do half an hour twice a week than an hour once a week. You need to expose yourself to yoga and to flexibility training more often, more frequently. Let's talk about the last concept. Every plane of motion. You need to go front and back, you need to go side to side, and you need to rotate. So you need to do all directions, all planes of motion. You need to focus on rotation with a thoracic spine. You need to focus on flexion extension with a thoracic spine. You need to focus on lateral flexion. So everything that you do needs to maximize the joint's capacity. The hip joints are going to have more mobility than the lumbar spine. The thoracic spine is going to have more mobility than the lumbar spine. And the shoulder is going to have different mobility than the ankle joint. You're going to have different levels and different capacities for stretching, but you need to take each joint through its complete range of motion. Don't keep joints immobile. If they're more mobile, like the shoulder, like the hip, and they're kept in certain positions, they're going to get stiff, and you're going to start screwing up your back and your knees because joints that are meant to be stable will start to be forced to be more mobile as a result of stiffening of the hips and the ankle and the thoracic spine. That put in more plain terms, because that was like a roundabout way, because I wasn't expecting necessarily to say it at that moment. You have mobile joints and you have stable joints. What you need to think about and the importance of yoga, and this is why people have back pain, this is why people have knee pain, this is why people have neck pain, this is why people have shoulder pain. The basic explanation, the simplest way to explain why people have chronic pain, why people get exposed to the same injuries as a result of not stretching, as a result of being stiff, is that because of what you do every day, whether it's sitting down, whether it's standing up in one position, whatever is not moving, whatever is keeping you locked in position is stiffening joints that should be mobile. As a result, because the joints that are supposed to be mobile are now stiff, your body starts to look for mobility elsewhere. and your body will start moving the lower back more than it should. Your body will start having laxity and movement in the knees more than it should. Your body will have movement in the shoulder joint more than it should because your scapula is locked. These are the reasons why people have chronic injuries and repetitive injuries. You'll hurt something, it'll heal, and then it'll come back, and you'll hurt again. You'll heal, you'll come back, you'll hurt again because you're not fixing the problem. You need to create mobility. You need to create stability where there should be stability and create that mobility where there should be mobility. So a lot of this is just retraining the body. This joint moves like this. This joint moves like this. You're just reteaching the body. You're teaching the body how to go through its movement. And that's the hard part. That's the easy part and the hard part, because you're teaching your body something that it should do naturally and to strengthen things that it should already have strong naturally. So it's hard to teach your body something that should be subconscious, so to speak. But because we don't live in the jungle, because we're not mobile and functional from when we're little, we have to reteach the body, and that's hard. It's like trying to consciously think about your heartbeat and try to increase your heart rate when it should be up. It's going to be weird for you because it's not something you're naturally supposed to focus on. That's autonomic. That's what your body does automatically. Okay? So that's something that you should keep in mind. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be awkward. It's going to feel uncomfortable because you're reteaching. It's like teaching a dog to sit or to roll over. And the more advanced or the more out of shape you are, the more of like an old dog, teaching an old dog a new trick. It's possible, but it's going to be very challenging, and the later you start, the more of an uphill battle you have if certain movements will ever be able to happen again due to scar tissue and just due to stiffness and cartilage buildup and blah, blah, blah. So make sure you start now. Start with a basic class. Go on YouTube. Look up a beginner yoga program. Try something. There's different styles. There's many different styles. There's many different types of classes. There are many different poses. You don't have to do a whole flow. You can just drop down and do some stretching. But look into it more, make it part of your schedule, make it part of your routine, back off the weights if you're doing 5, 6, or 7 days a week of weight training, and throw in some more stretching and flexibility, and you will have more longevity and you'll be thankful for it. Trust me. We're thinking long term. A lot of times everyone wants something now. You have to think long term. Otherwise, you're going to be fucked up long term. What type of yoga do I prefer? I mean, a basic vinyasa flow is nice, especially because it has some strengthening. I like yin or raja yoga, which is some deep fascial stretching. It's very passive gravitational holds. But I would try some different kinds. I would try some hatha. You could try some kundalini. There's different stuff with breathing. There's different aspects of certain types of yogas with more spirituality. It depends on what you're into, like meditation. Yeah, there are a lot of videos. I mean, what would help is if I went online, I looked up a couple and put them in the description, which I would like to say that I would, but I probably will forget or get involved doing something else. But I will try to do that. I'll try to hook up some more links and some more references. And I have a yoga flow that I have on premium that I might also put on my regular YouTube channel. So those of you that are following me for the first time, my YouTube channel, Swolenormous, also Snapchat, Instagram, everywhere. Thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you for floating the hearts on Periscope. Remember, you can follow this on YouTube, The Daily Swole, and also you can catch us as a podcast. If you've missed any of the other 143 episodes, you can catch the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. They're all on there, so you can watch them, download for iPhone, and for Android, it's available. Okay, so a lot of great resources, a lot of videos on YouTube, more every day, vlogs, driving while gaining, got Raw series motivational, got some exercise videos. There's a lot of different content on there, so check it out, poke around, and next week, going through this week, I'll start talking a little bit more about what's going on next week because there's going to be a lot of different content, and I'll back off from certain content because I will be doing a little bit off-site, so to speak, but I'll give some more insights on that coming up. I've been talking about some new things that are going on. There'll be some different footage because I'm going to be out of the area. So I'll probably either be filming some of these in advance, but the live broadcast will be different locations. So you should definitely stay tuned. If you don't follow me on Periscope, follow me. And also, if you watch this live, that's great. Also, when it goes on YouTube, throw a like up there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. And also, hop on to SoundCloud or iTunes. Give me a like and give me a review, whether it's good or bad. Give me 1 star, give me 5 stars. Either way, let me know what you think. I appreciate the feedback. You could bench press 650. Yeah, that's pretty good if you can really do that. So I'll stay for a couple minutes after on Periscope and Busker. Thank you for joining me for episode 144 of The Daily Mother Swole. Catch you on the flip side tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern Time, for episode 145. Remember, you can catch this replay on YouTube, also on Periscope, and you can go to my Facebook page and watch the live broadcast recap, also on Busker Live at 12 noon every day. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.